This will be kind of a data dump and kind of not of a data dump. A bunch of stuff I looked up today. Today I found out. Someone decided to do a video where they compared the behavior of firearms pretty close to the same type of firearm with the same type of ammunition, and did it with shotguns with different length barrels to see what effect it had on speed for the propellant, for the propelled objects. Next thing is, this included something I was going to maybe need to do someday if I ever get indoors, or yeah, literally that would be a requirement, is to set up an experiment where you did extremely short shotgun barrels and extremely long by most people's standards. Now this guy is the channel that did the Force of Nature Team Fortress 2 Scouts double-barreled mini shotgun experiment. He made one. Legally speaking, in the United States, you can build, you have to get permission and get a permit for it, a short barrel shotgun. It can be a double barrel shotgun with, literally he made one that had no barrel. It just had the shell sticking out, depending on what you stuck into it, all the way up to a gun he bought or got a hold of that had a 3-foot, 36-inch barrel. So I'm going to read back the different ones. A Marlin 55, a Stevens 301, Spaz 12, Vesper 12, KSG, it's 12 gauge, KSG with a salvo silencer or muffler on it or whatever that ended up making the barrel longer, a Mossberg Shockwave because that's the obligatory shotgun for doing these, an Auto 5 SBS short barrel shotgun, a Stoger side-by-side short barrel 11-inch barrel, and he also made a 3-inch barrel for the same thing because, buy one get two, and a Super Shorty pump that has different barrel length. Now, pointing out the obvious here, the longest barrel you find on not 12 gauge but 4 gauge flare guns, because I'm a flare gun geek, is about a foot or 10 inches. So having him make a short barrel double barrel that would be directly the equivalent, although 12 gauge, of the German double barrel shotgun that was used to fire flares at 11 inch. It's almost identical. It's an inch longer. Comparison, that's a good comparison. And then finally the 3-inch double barrel, acting like what would happen if you took a basically you took a flare gun and didn't like it very much. So this is the results I'm going to be giving. Now I'm going to read back what was noticed. Now you might say, well, if it's a shorter barrel, it's going to go slower out of the barrel. Okay. Now he compared it using the same ammunition through 5 tests, and in some cases not 5 tests, with birdshot, buckshot, and of course slugs, because at that point, if you're doing a short barrel, you might use a slug because, well, he didn't do a spread test. That's what I was looking for. I was also looking for, maximum velocity, lethality. He did a ballistic gel test, mostly just with that. I mean, you can look up all sorts of things like this. So here we go. Birdshot with an advertised speed of 1,200 feet per second. Got almost that, only almost that, in the 36-inch barrel, a Marlin 55. When you got a Stevens 301 with a 26-inch barrel, which is the barrel length you would need if you're going to fire out of a gun that's literally just nothing but barrel, where you have basically the ass end of a flare gun stuck on it with a 12-gauge barrel, which is technically legal, you end up with, I'm weirding myself out looking at the screen, you end up with it being at 1,142 feet per second comparison. Now let's go down to, let me get this centered right. 1,142. The Spaz 12 gauge was a 21-inch barrel. Good comparison. Went down to 1,900 feet per second. So you're losing 100 feet per second. Okay. Vesper at 19 inches, which is just above the minimum length for a shotgun barrel. It doesn't matter what the body length is at this point. We're just dealing with the barrel. That one worked out about the same. It's about 1080. And then KSG, the KSG 18-inch, which is actually the legal limit, was a little faster. And putting a salvo on it, the not silencer but suppressor to make it less loud, made it go 50 feet per second slower almost. So let's go on with the next thing. At 1,033 feet per second, we get the Shockwave at 14 inches. Because you can buy a shotgun, if it's 26 inches overall, If it's considered a firearm, it doesn't have to have an 18-inch barrel, but you can get one that has a shorter barrel. It should be considered a short barrel shotgun in theory, but because it's not concealable and it's at 26 inches or longer is the idea. Now, I'm not even sure if that's accurate. At 13 inches, and I have to look at it, yeah, it's 1030. So 13 and 14 inches, you get 1030, 1030 feet per second. You get about 1050 at 18 inches. Unless it's a KSG, for some reason, it goes up to almost 1100 feet per second. You get a slight dip at 19 inches because reasons. At 21 inches, it's about 1100 feet per second. It's stuck there. It goes above that immediately when you get to 26 inches, and at 36 inches, you get a significant improvement in speed. Does this make the pattern better? Blah, blah, blah. I don't care. That's not what was available in the video. There's spotty information about this. I want this guy to do a pattern test at specific distances, so I don't have to do it. But there's a fun pattern test for the 3-inch barrel. Basically, at 3 feet away, it's a 2-foot blast. So if you fire at anything, and I mean literally anything, more than 8 or 9 feet away, you probably won't hit it no matter what you load it with, because the slugs were weird. But anyway, the sawn-off 11-inch barrel was a little over 1,000 feet per second. Now that's the max length, or over max length, for a flare gun in the old days that was even a bigger diameter. All right? And that's a 4-gauge, aka a 105 caliber versus the 81 or 73 caliber a shotgun goes for, depending on whether or not you make it out of pipe or not. Or you use Schedule 80 pipe and drill it out. Next, the Super Shorty, made by Serbu Firearms, 6.5-inch barrel, flare gun barrel length. I mean, it's a flare gun. It's a pump action flare gun. 890 feet per second. 900 feet per second. Not as good as an 11-inch, which is almost 1,000, but that's up near 900 to 1,000 feet per second. Sawn-off shotgun at 3 inches, barely, 400 or maybe higher feet per second. It's not a good comparison because it's a totally separate video. I don't know if it's the same thing, but let's assume that's correct for right now. And that's bird shot. Now we're going to go to bug shot. Now I'm not even sure if I got the numbers right for that. Immediately with the sawn-off shotgun at 3-inch barrel, which means there's no barrel, it's 821 feet per second versus the maybe 450. Going back up to the 11-incher, it goes to 1145, and the numbers match up and pretty much placed just about the same, but it's buckshot and it's going faster. Smaller number of projectiles, they retain speed a little bit better because they're heavier, and the shot cup might organize them better, or might take the place of not having a barrel in that case, but the others are like longer. At 36 inches, we get 1394. The advertised speed is 1325, so it's actually faster. So what that means is, unless you get a 3-foot barrel on buckshot and birdshot, you might not get the advertised speed, and it is very linear from there. Again, except for the KSG gun, it did a better job. It had a slightly weird spike at the 18-inch barrel above what a 19-inch barrel would be, but it's only 20 feet per second higher. But it is interesting, and this could be caused by forcing cones, the actual true bore of it. Maybe the constriction's more gentle for one versus the other. That is something to explore, and again, if I ever get indoors, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be building these and doing a test bench. I'm going to describe to you why I'm allowed to. I would be legally allowed to build a street legal without any other weapon restriction, make a short barrel shotgun. A 3-inch one, if I wanted to. There's this weird loophole I found out about. It's not what you think. Now we go on to slugs. 1,600 feet per second advertised, 1,660 feet per second out of a 36-inch barrel. Go to 26, it's at 1,560. And, well, if you go to 21-inch barrel, it's about the same. And it drops suddenly for the 19-inch barrel. Again, the 18-inch barrel, because it's a KSG, seems to do better than average. It's faster, so KSGs apparently are more efficient at doing what they do at 19 inches or 18. And again, if you put the suppressor on it at this point, it does exactly what you expect it is. No, it doesn't. It actually speeds it up. It does actually work as a barrel extension, but that just means it's a longer barrel. So the next step, at 1,440 feet per second, the 14-inch Shockwave everybody thinks about, oh, that's a badass gun, comes out slower. It does. It's a little over a foot long. And the Auto 5 at 13 inches is only 40 feet per second less. Sawn off 11-inch barrel is 1321. Again, we're doing lower, and obviously the Super Shorty at half a foot, 6.5 inches, works out to a little under 1,000 feet per second. And then correcting it, it's actually above that because he had discrepancy in his behavior or the ammunition. Now, I did not include the slug speed for the little 3-inch full sonata because I don't have that data. But the scaling is probably working about the same way. Now, why am I doing this video? Will you stop doing this? I was looking for this because I'm looking for actual numbers on actual speeds. Something's flying 1,500 feet per second and it's, a slug. It's going to travel a good distance. But you see the extreme change from a 36-inch barrel to 3-inch barrel. To a 1-foot barrel. So 3-foot barrel down to 1 foot. You go from 1,600 feet per second to 1,300 feet per second flat out. You're wasting energy. Now, let's not waste any energy here. Let's talk about what I got here for the other subject. We're all waiting for this. If anybody's curious, I have found a bunch of random pieces of metal tubing, including stuff that I was going to use to fix a fence and wasn't needed, but still contributed to it. Fixing it, meaning cutting the fence, ain't going to happen anymore. But on that note, I also started collecting other metal tubes because they were laying around. It's junk. I'm just cleaning up the area. And I throw a bunch of stuff in the garbage and the recycling bins because people leave sharp things out on the street and puncture my tires. But yesterday, I found a piece of metal conduit that's for electrical piping. And I noticed that it was, of course, that kind of diameter, so I had to look it up. Part of this video is going to be about metal tube diameters, because it is. But anyway, here we go. But yeah, an 18-inch pattern at 3 feet is a worthless gun, but a 1-foot gun is almost useful. So here we go. Most electrical codes prohibit the routing of electrical conductors through the rough interiors of pipes and fittings commonly used in the turn of previous century for gas or water, due to concerns about damage to the electrical insulation because of them having a seam. So electrical tubing, various types, is literally supposed to be seamless on the inside for a real good reason. And some of it will chamber inside of another piece of pipe, so you could use it as a nice smooth liner in a barrel that you couldn't get doing perfectly. So yeah, you can actually make barrel liners. And depending on where you buy it from, it might be exactly the diameter you're looking for. And if it isn't, there's a possibility of doing something with it because it's mild steel and it can be shrunk down. Now, would I use this as a barrel by itself? Hell fucking no. But it could work, maybe, as a substitute ammunition type. Because you can get the tubing that size. Flexible metal conduit, FMC, we're not covering, but it's spiral tubed stuff. Electrical non-metallic tubing, plastic or Smurf tube, not going to cover it. Rigid polyvinyl chloride, similar to plastic plumbing pipe, again, not going to do it. 3/4 inch Schedule 40 water and gas pipe has a inner diameter declared, which is not really the way it is, and an outer diameter, which is declared, and it is. The inner diameter is 0.824. And the outer diameter is 1.05 inches, or 105 caliber and 80 some odd caliber inside. It's not appropriate for making a shotgun barrel out of. But once they decided to do these things, they came up with a standard based on these tubings. If you're curious, that's where the tubing standard came from. And purpose-built couplings, fittings, and tubes were manufactured for electrical use only. And it's at $1 a foot. So again, you could use this as a reliner, and you could do that. Now, what I found is that there are schedules, there are thickness levels for the piping, but it changes the outside and inside diameters. But here's the important point. One of the outside diameters is 0.922, same inner diameter almost. And the other one is 1.3 inches exterior, and the other one is 1.04 or 1.05. So you get numbers, 1.03 and 1.05. They change the inner and outer diameter of the stuff. So you could use these inside of each other to make multiple layers and build up something like that. And also, more importantly, you could use this to make couplings out of the pieces, which is what people usually do. Just thought I'd include that information at the end. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. Bye.